Just make sure it's mono as well. Come on, mono. Right, there we go. I've got myself a mono microphone, and this is recording, and now it's live, so it's all working. So this is a city builder called Banished, and it's, imagine you're just a medieval couple, you've been banished somewhere, and then you can literally do a scenario where it's just a man and a woman, and then you have a child, and then it's all incestuous after that. But it's not an easy game. Every time I kept playing the base game, I died. But I'm not going to be doing the base game. I'm going to be doing this. So, the Mega Mod. Let's see. I'll enable that one. Have you ever wished you could download all the most popular Banished mods, compiled into one comprehensive package? Welcome to the mother of all Banished mods, the Mega Mod, the ultimate Banished mod experience, placed on top of the other Mega Mod parts. Right, so enable that, enable that, enable that. Place in the middle, place in the bottom, yep, and it's giving me red things. This mod contains resources that conflict with another mod. Those not. Yep, so that's all fine. Changes to the load mod card in the menu to be reloaded. Do you want to apply change to restart now? Yes, I do. Funnily enough, this game inspired my cousin to make a game, and he got upset because he had this novel concept for a game. And it was new. I won't say what it is. And then he sort of noticed, like, oh no, other people have got the same concept for this game. Well, then it's no longer going to be original, therefore I'm no longer interested. And I assume as this is over 3 gigabytes of data uncompressed, I mean, the original game's like 700 megabytes, it would fit on the CD. So it's going to take a while to load all of that data and pass it correctly. But yeah, so he saw this, and then he got annoyed and demoralised, and then it stopped. But I mean, I was interested in this project, and I said to him, "Is there any way you could help?" He says, "Well, actually, yeah. Do you want to do sound design?" I said, "Well, I don't know anything about sound design." He says, "Well, mostly I need someone to like get a load of audio, like." You know, hey, you could do with some bird song when you're in the forest, or you could do with sounds of a tavern and things like that, or pub as we call it. He says, so can you buy this field microphone, the Zoom? I said, yeah, okay. He says, when money comes in, I'll pay you for it. Never did get the money for the microphone, but I think I've made it pay. Well, I haven't made it pay for itself, but I'm glad I got it. So anyway, here's the Banished that we do new, and then what should we? I'm gonna just give this name of it a suitably medieval name. Let's call it that. They call it that. And we've got valleys, mountains. This colonial charter. That's part of the colonial charter. Is a brilliant mod. It made the game like 3 to 4 times bigger than the base game. So what's lake waters? Also affects rivers. I don't know, it doesn't say what it is. Jungle rivers, peaks plain, peaks valley, grid, harsh mountain, mountain lakes, harsh plateau, open green valley, plains with lake. Or why don't we just go with one of the basic vanilla things in the game? So we'll go with valleys as it appears in the base game. And we'll go with terrain size of very large, climate mild. So you can go mild, or you can go I wish to die. So we'll go with mild weather, which is like the default difficulty in the game. Disasters on, yep. Starter conditions medium. Medium game begins with fine families, clothing, food, fire, tools and construction materials are provided. Storage barn has already been built. Some seeds for fields and orchards are available. Or you can go on hard. A hard game begins with 4 families, small amount of clothing, food, firewood and tools provided. No seeds for farming are available. There's the Adam and Eve one. We'll start with just 2 people. You got these different ones here. Wow, there is a lot there. What does DSSV mean? An easy game begins with 6 families, lots of food, lots of tools, lots of clothes, lots of firewood. 6 alright. DSSV are available or have been built, up to 2 crops in, 2 orchard seeds been available, as well as 1 herd of livestock. You know what? Let's go with easy. So, homes and storage are already been built, seeds to fill and orchard, so we'll just go with that. Music is too loud, buddy. Yeah, okay, so I'll do that once I start the game. And we'll start the game. The music gets a bit samey after a while, although I know there's a lot of other music put in the mod, and wow, the load time is slow. I mean, normally it would just start instantaneously, but now it's like, nope, got to load all that mod data. So I'm interested to try this, because in the default game you'd have a wooden house which was poorly insulated, and you could upgrade it to, no, I think you had like a wooden shack, then a house, then a stone house, and the stone house would be the most well insulated. And God, it was just such a hard game, and you kind of want to make sure that you don't build too many houses, because if you do, children move into them, and as soon as they're like 6 years old or something, they start reproducing. It's very medieval in that sense. And then it's like, oh great, now you've reproduced, now you're consuming all the food, now everyone's starving, now everyone's dead. But at the same time, it's like, if you don't encourage reproduction, then everyone dies of old age, and then you got no one to work the fields and the mines, and then everyone's dead. Banished Mega Mod, what's this? And yeah, Banished was really hard. Yeah, it was. So this Mega Mod, I looked for Colonial Charter, and then found that when they've done Colonial Charter into a Mega Mod, so it includes that and along with a whole bunch of other stuff which I don't know. And hopefully they've done stuff so that labourers are better and that animals reproduce more quickly, because you could very quickly hunt a forest to extinction. Even if you had like a very small village. My longest gamer died of old age. Yeah, it's horses. I've got horses. Okay, so first of all, we'll go to audio, and we'll change all the stuff down to here. Put music down there. Right, so I'll play that, and now it's loaded. So, oh, I can show temperatures in Celsius. Okay. Yes. Autosave timer. Let's make the autosave every 15 minutes. That sounds good. Oh, but I didn't apply options. Oh, that's okay, because when I click OK, it applies. Right, so first of all, pause the game. Right, so the game's paused. Now, simulation speed, tools and reports. That's it. I want this thing. God, the interface has been... The interface is still the same. This is one of the things where you had like this bar, and then you had to like bring things up from it. So there's no like one which says reports. Mod collections? Oh wow, okay. So we got Shining Rock, Colonial Charter, Red Ketchup, Kid, DS. Wow, there's a lot of stuff here. What's this? Build decorative items for your town. Warning, many decorative items cannot be selected until all the resources have been brought to the instruction site. Okay. Theme sets. That's a lot of stuff. Resource production, food production, town services, storage, roads and bridges. Alright, so first of all, we'll do some roads. No access at a bank, child stars since child. Okay, that's cool. Bridges, tunnels, DS roads, dirt road. So we'll start off with the dirt road. There we go. So there's a dirt road. That's going to form our village square. And is it here? What we got here? Shows general statistics about the town. Right. So here's our town of Yarnton. And what we got? We got 12 adults and 9 children. And we got a stock of various things here. Now I want a labourer's report. There's an event log. alternate event log UI boxes. Don't understand that. An overhead map of the area. So we got like that bit there and that bit there. And I want to eventually... Okay, so let's just first of all organise ourselves so we're facing north, pointing north. And we want to get north to get to this river. This river will be a link to the outside world. So yeah, we definitely want that. And bonjour journal, ça va comme ci comme ça. So we don't need the map for now, we just need to focus on things. This is it, various professional list configurations. Full non-scrolling... Well, okay, that is a huge list. So everyone's a labourer at the moment, no one's a builder. So let's have a few builders. Santa's elf is it? Right, yeah, okay. A scrolling professional list. This is one of those things, the user interface is interesting. Let's just say that. It is interesting. Right, so what do we need? Well, we definitely need food. So I'd say one of the first things I'm going to build is a food thing. A food thing. Yes, that's what it's called. A food production thing. Raw food gathering. Fishing dock. Now, a road. No, I can't just press R for road, I actually have to choose it. Dirt roads toolbar. Wait, there's different dirt roads? Dirt road 3, dirt road 4. Country road with fallen leaves. Stone road. Let's just go with the base game vanilla dirt road. Up to there. Like so. Right, so we got fish coming in. Next we'll need wood for all sorts of stuff. So have we got a collection error? Well, we got firewood, so that's good. We got logs. Let's just focus more on gathering food. Food refining, what we got? Old Dairy. Ketchup Incorporated. The ketchup industry used to take tomatoes to generate ketchup. Milking barn. Dairy parlour. Red creamery. Oil press. Anything to do with fish? Fish smoker. Needs firewood. I'm hoping this will take like the fish and turn it into more food. So anyway, there's that. Now let's unpause the game. How do I unpause? Go. Right. So there's a storage barn where we got hide coats. Oh yeah, that's right. I have to provide clothes for people. I hope everyone enjoys potatoes, because potatoes is what you're getting. And you know what? Maybe I'll do a horse paddock in the middle of the thing. So how do I do that? Oh god, the rain. The incessant rain. Rain! Hang on, if I alt-tab out, turn the desktop audio down, and that way my voice will be audible over the sound of the rain. This is mild weather settings. It only gets worse. Food production, resource production. God, there's so much. Is that it? Stable. Provide feed to generate a domesticated animal resource. I don't know. I don't know what to do with these horses. I hope they don't die. I mean, I'd assume I'd have to make some sort of paddock for them. Storage market and trades, roads and bridges, orchard, raw materials production, hardwood forester, shore house. That's mining. That's foresting. Silkworm hut, gift shop, wild shepherd. Search on land for animals to domesticate takes a long time, eventually exhaust the local supply of animals available. We upgrade to a regular gatherer or moved. So what's this? These are orchards. A stable for the production of domesticated animals. Stables, 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 stables. Alright, okay. So, if I build it... What? There? Okay, let's build it there. We'll just have a dirt road going in. And maybe that's where the horses will go. I don't know. So, let's just have a go. This is all new territory to me, so I don't really know what I'm doing. And, oh wow, there's a lot of options. So, let's go through these options. This is your basic wooden house. It's not very well insulated, despite being wood, which I always find a bit strange. You can upgrade to stone house. Stone house will provide more warmth than wooden homes. Some resources in existing building will be reclaimed. They can't live in the house when it's being upgraded, so you have to provide houses for them. This is colonial charge. You get a country house, you need bricks, and then you need some other materials as well. Nice country house, and then a fancy country house. So yeah, that's what we got. But the main thing we need at the moment is, it seems like it's okay because the food is all right. They've taken some food, yeah. But we're going to get some more food in, aren't we? Yes, we're going to get some more food over here as soon as this is built. Is there a tool here? A gather tool? Increase priority, paths, gather, grid lines, icon chart, no. Maybe it's under resource production. What if can I just clear an area? Florist. Is this clearing area? Removal and destruction tools, there we go. Remove structures, remove resources. So I'm just going to select this area and say, anything there, please remove. And we got a stockpile, so they can bring it there. So one of the things I will want to work on later is, I need wool, which I get from sheep, and I'll need hides, or is it linen? And then from that I can make fancy clothing, which is warm. And when people are warm, they work longer. So when there's rain, people work until they're cold and they go back inside to warm up, and they use firewood to do that. And if you provide them nicer clothing, they'll stay outside longer. But anyway, I think I can speed this up without everybody dying. So let's just go 10x on that. Right, there we go. Now, one of the things we'll want is tools. If we don't have tools, then people find it much harder to do anything, so... And if they find it harder to do things, it's like, well, I would like to get that wood, but all I've got is a rock to bash against it. So we're going to need refined resources, fuel production, yeah, probably important, construction, tools and forge. So what we've got, blacksmith, used to create new tools from wood and iron, city blacksmith, small iron smelter, only produces iron by taking iron ore and furnace fuel, only one worker can work here. Right, so if I build a blacksmith, let's just build it there and give ourselves some room. Ah, no one's working here, right. So we can have one worker, so let's assign one, no. One worker's working in the fish smoker. And then I can have 4 people working in the fishing dock, so I do 4 working there. So now I've got 3 labourers and 4 builders. I have a total workforce of 12 people. Right, so what I wanted to talk about now that I've got the basics of this done was, I thought it was an interesting show on Sunday, talking about like wealth and stuff like that, and Capstan was disagreeing with the idea of what Phil was saying about wealth, and Phil was saying you don't need to pay people, just do it. And it's like, you know what? That should be the way things are done, but it's not. Unfortunately, the world we live in is, I would say, fairly abstract. So, in this world, it makes sense. It's like, the reward for your work is you get to continue living. So, you got somebody that's fishing, and there's like, alright, if I don't fish, then we don't have any food to eat. Or it's like, if I don't fish, then, well, we got a stock of potatoes, and then that's it. And what are the horses going to eat? I hope the horses don't mind eating potato. So it's like, the reward for fishing is you get some fish. And that makes sense. It's like, I do this job, so I've got food to eat. A firewood man seller, it's like, sorry, someone who chops logs into firewood, it's like, well, if I don't chop these logs into firewood, then I will be cold and I won't be able to cook my food. So that makes sense. So it's very immediate gains. But then you get into the world where, like, eventually you get really sort of abstract jobs like, I'm a life coach, or I'm a chartered accountant, or I am a insurance underwriter. And when you're doing jobs like that, it's like, well, where's the reward for doing my work? It's not providing food on a table, it's not providing warmth, and it's dealing into those really sort of esoteric, abstract needs that a society does need, somehow, but don't know why. So the reward then becomes money, and money becomes this medium of exchange. Because before you had to do with barter, and barter would probably work in the village like this, because, you know, you're not dealing with other people, and you're not looking for some easily transportable system of wealth. Really, the fact is, wealth, true wealth, all it boils down to is, hey, it's man's labour. It's the labour of a man. It's all like, yeah, you could say, well, you know, there's fish and there's gold and there's stuff like that, but none of that would exist if it wasn't for somebody spending the time getting that resource. So their labour is the wealth. So really, I think that's what the money's supposed to boil down to. It's supposed to be like a token of wealth. It's like, you have done this much work. And then you get into the strange sort of things like, yeah, but, I mean, you get someone... Domesticated animal. What? Those horse... I can't build a stable because I need lumber. Right, okay, that was a mistake. So I don't know what to do with those horses. Resource production, town services, storage market and trade, butchers. Don't want to butcher the horses. Raw food gathering. A gatherer's hut for roots and berries. That's not what I was looking for. I saw something here. That was it. A wild shepherd. So we can do a wild shepherd, can't we? Because at the moment we've got basic resources. We've got stone and we've got logs. We don't have lumber. We don't have clay or things like that. That comes later. That was it, really. Wow, my entire talk about economics and stuff, I suppose I could go into a bit of it, because I think Capstan was sort of objecting to modern monetary theory and this thing that you can just magic wealth out of thin air. Well, no, you can't magic wealth out of thin air, but you can do promissory notes, which says, like, your labour, which you're going to do in exchange for this note, is worth what I say it is. And then that's it. So all you can do is basically say to people, hey, you're not working at the moment. Yeah, there's no work going around. Well, I'm going to give you work to do, and then you'll be able to buy stuff with that work you just did. And that's all it is. It's like all monetary theory is figuring out how to motivate people to do work so they can do stuff. Now, you could argue in a post-scarcity society, like, you don't need everybody working. In fact, people need to do very little work. Yeah. But, that's all well and good, except then what do you do with all your free time? So, I mean, one example I want to put of this is Japan. Japan's been in recession for like a few decades now, and their debt just goes up and up every year, but it doesn't matter. Why doesn't it matter? Because they still got a functioning society. Things haven't gone tits up. They've not gone like Zimbabwe. They're still going out working every day. And if you look at Japan, if you look at videos of it, it's a nice world. It's pretty. It's good stuff. It's working. And it's a functional society. So the debt really doesn't mean anything. It's a nonsense. How do I... Oh, hang on. I have to remove it for construction. So what's the built thing I use? It's this one here. Remove structure, that's it. There we go. Right, so this wild shepherd, hopefully that's going to corral these horses and domesticate them. But then when I domesticate them, I don't know what to do with them. So how am I doing on resources? I've got 980 food, that's all I got. I think I remember cheating at this game before using a money hack program, and I was monitoring like the levels of one resource, and when it went down it's like, oh okay, that number there corresponds to that resource, and I just give it like a huge number. So there's fish out on the road. Maybe fish can be moved into the barn? Okay. Fish and oats. So what comes next? I mean, the blacksmith needs iron ore. You need iron ore in order to make the blacksmith's house, alright. I suppose that makes sense. I mean, after all, he's got to make his tools from something. So let's do remove resources. So, tell that area there. Right, so let's just go ahead and see if we can build a blacksmith. You need a shepherd. So there's one person working a shepherd, and now I've got 2 labourers left. That's it. Sweep up all those boulders and such. So now I've got someone working as a... but then I can upgrade this to a gatherer. But at the moment it's just one shepherd, so where's the shepherd? Sailor, salt boiler, scavenger, shipwright, shoreman, soldier. I'm sorry, I did do a shepherd, right? Oh, the reserve of food is low, that's it. We're all going to start starving now. I haven't done enough of food. So what can I do for more food? I mean... farming? Can I do a field? Raw food gathering, food refining, windmills, animal pens? Ah, an animal pen, a wool pen, a milk pen, an egg pen. Well, those aren't horses. Transparent fields. Crop field. Yep, let's do some crops. A 12 by 12 grid, that should be a good plot of land, right? Select something to put. Rye. There we do, rye. Okay, and so how many farmers can we do? We can have 1 farmer. Alright, there's 1 farmer. Probably... oh yeah, it's saying we need less builders now, so I'll do less builders. So I want... I don't think that's working, so I'm going to upgrade it to a gatherer's. And hopefully it will gather a lot of food. Otherwise my people are going to starve, and then that'll be it. Game over. And that's my modern monetary theory explained. It works so long as you've got the resources. No, it doesn't auto-generate a bridge for me. You have to build a bridge. So Is that a bridge? A wooden bridge. Now citizens cross rivers. Right, let's unmute myself and get back to the game. What's happening? I just noticed that Packer, Performer and Pirate are jobs in this as well. Alright, so, wait a minute. Where are you walking? Why do you have a question mark over your head? Let me ascertain what that is. You're a gatherer. And there's a question mark. The citizen has no job. That's because you're working as a gatherer here, which is being upgraded. Alright. Let me see if I've got a cheat for this, because otherwise people are going to die. And I'm not ready to lose the game just yet. But yeah, it's one of those games where I can't win unless I... oh, there we go. So, yeah, just enable that. Unlimited health, unlimited happiness, age always 20, no hunger, good weather, fast building, unlimited resource, unlimited food, unlimited houses food, unlimited houses firewood, unlimited market resources, unlimited trading post resources. What's the other one? Free trading. And then you can also do one called super game speed. Alright, so let's just try one. Let's just do unlimited houses food. Let's try that. That's F9. Right, so did you hear the bleep? I heard a bleep. So we're going now and have a look at the inventory and the food. In fact, I think that's what I did. I had this thing where, yeah, all 500 and 500. I looked into a house which had some food, and then as it went down, I hacked it. So I said, no, you don't have like 20 blackberries, you have 1 million of them, or 1 million fish. And then what I'd do is whenever like food was low, I would just say, all right, you're gonna demolish that house. And then when they would, you'd have to clear resources from it. So effectively, it was like a massive food store. And I think that's how I won the game. You don't really win this game. It's not one of those sorts of games. Let me just move that there so I can still see chat. Not that anyone's saying anything. Journal. Marco Coletti Spaghetti. But otherwise, I mean, I've even watched videos where people have shown them playing the game. And, like, this is how you do it. This is how not to overextend yourself. And I was like, yeah, I'll try it. And, yeah. I mean, I probably should have built that field, like, straight away. Not like, blither about going, oh, what do these options do? But at the same time, I wanted to talk about modern monetary theory. So let's see, we're making iron tools, which takes 1 log plus 1 iron. And, you can make stone tools, you can make wooden tools, rough tools. Steel tools, 1 log, 1 iron and 1 coal. Hardened tools, 1 log, 2 iron, 1 coal. Hardened steel, bronze, carbon steel, gemstones, muskets. Muskets, alright. Hal has become an adult and is working as a labourer. There we go, that's a good sign. So the reserve of food is still low. I mean, we've got some smoked fish and some fish in, so that's good. But there's still nothing... Oh, I suppose it's too late for the harvesting and planting of rye. The gatherer's hut's done something, so we brought some herbs in. Herbs you need in this game for... oh no, let's set the tool limit to 500. I think that's a reasonable limit. Let's just keep him busy. Keep him employed. Plus it's nice to keep the forge going throughout the winter. It gives the blacksmith a chance to be warm. And so what we got, so this is the first winter. Now normally this is the point where everyone would die in my game. This is a great game. Slaughter the horses so the population can dine on horse meat. I mean, yeah, I could, and I am French, so I approve of such salami. But I ain't going to do that, because, well, I was going to build a stable for them, but then the stable needs lumber. So that's probably refined resources. Well, we probably need some woodcutters. Used to chop logs into firewood, which then used to heat homes in the winter. Alright, so we definitely need a woodcutters. What else do we need? A Celtic chopper. Employs one could chop one log. Alright. A village firewood yard. Place to chop split logs to create firewood heat homes. Variants on that. Bakery coke ovens. Processes coal into coke. Woodcutter. Use chopped woods and... yeah. Coal first. Slow way to make coal. Chopper. Small less formal area wood chopping is done. A tiny chopper. Build a tiny wood chopper. Bundling shed. At the bundling shed, organics are gathered and cut into usable bundles. Oh, so that's a faggot maker. Cutter yard. A thing used to make fire from logs. And a stacks burner. But none of this is making lumber, so... alright, so let's slow the game down again. I need to look at refined resources and clothes. It's no good having people going around naked, so used to make warm clothes to ward off the effects of winter and rain and all that sort of stuff. So what's the clothing situation? I've got no stored firewood. Got very few logs, few stone, few iron. Got a good amount of tools. Got some stored food. That's good. So what we got? We got smoked fish. We got fish. Got a domesticated animal. That's good. Let's have some people working in the woodcutter. There we go. Got someone working in the woodcutters. Now what do we have? Amount of stored precious items. So yeah, I thought this game would be a great visual aid to talking about modern monetary theory and wealth. All that wealth is man's labour. If a man doesn't do something to generate a resource that's needed in the hierarchy of needs, like this one's cold because they got no firewood, then you got no wealth. So wealth's not gold, wealth's not promissory notes. The only thing wealth is people's labour. Thank you. Like I just got an envelope delivered to me. And look, there's rye. It's planted during the spring, so we'll have some rye. At least then people can have a fish and rye porridge. But I still haven't made a tailor's, that's it. And we'll see what clothes we can make. What else have we got? Old Tailor House. A tailoring company. Seamstress Guild. Weavers. A weavers makes linen cloth and silk out of flax, cotton and silkworm cocoons. They can also fashion rugs. Oh yeah, rugs is a good idea. You can put them on walls as a tapestry and that keeps things warm. So let's have a look. A village crop field? Or just a crop field? I'm keeping the game mostly vanilla at the moment. I'll tell you whenever I'm using something that's modded. So what we got? Blackberries or rye? Okay. So we got two farmers now. We got blackberry. We got some very slow flying ducks. I guess that's the idea behind a musket. You can shoot them. So I can make hide coats, can make wool coats, can make survival coats out of reeds and feathers. A full coat out of cloth, a dress coat out of linen, pea coat out of leather and wool. So the main things you'd have in the game is a hide coat, or you would have a warm coat, which would be made out of leather and something else, wool, which in this game is called a pea coat. But anyway, we can at least make those. What's that? The reserve of iron is low. Yep, it sure is. So let's go and harvest some iron. Let's just remove resources. Do that. So remove those, please. Isn't there some sort of gatherer's hut I can do? I mean, that's a gatherer's hut and it's gathering things. Food production? Nope. Raw resources. Raw food gathering. Resource production. Foresters and logging. Forester lodger pine trees. Bamboo wood tree forester. Palm trees. Forester new trees. Village forester. Forester lodge. That's the one I recognise. So, in the vanilla game you get foresters which will then go and manage the forest for you, and they're more efficient than labourers at chopping down wood, which I suppose makes sense. I mean, if you've specialised in the art of chopping down trees, then you're going to get quite good at it. But is that... that gets into my village, so that's not a good place to build it. How do there's no cancel, no delete. You have to go to this menu here, remove structures, remove that. So we'll just build a road further to the east. There we go. And we'll have... oh look, there's some flowers there. Foresters. That's it. Now, let's do that. So there's nothing in the tailor's hut because there's no hides, there's no leather, and there's no... I mean, mind you, there's animals here which can be hunted, but this gatherer's hut is just gathering herbs, it's not gathering animals. So, food production, raw food gathering, hunting cabin. We'll put that next to the foresters. I'm going to get those ducks. And we'll have a butcher. A butcher for cow, sheep, llama, bison, pig, deer, that's it. We'll have a deer butcher over there. Next to the horses, so they can see what's happening to them. And a horse butcher is used to chop cheval into different kinds of meat and products. Yep, so we'll have two different I'm not sure why you need different butchers for... what's a Bryce's butcher? Beef butchery. Mutton, venison. Okay. What's that? Oh, a fuel limit's reached the maximum amount. So what we change this number to 900. I think that's a good number. So how are we doing on all the stuff? We got a good bit of stored firewood, minerals and ores, got some good amount of stored tools. But we're low on iron. So there's our labourers. They've gone chopped down some trees and stuff like that. And now the builders are busy working there. Now the game's recommending that I need 11 builders, so I'm going to do 3. What we got there? We got iron ore, we got fire, we got salt. Not sure how we got salt, but we got some salt. So here we go. Here's our Forester Lodge, almost done. There it is. So we can have 4 workers now. 2, 3, 4. So 1 builder. Now in the hunter's cabin, we can have a maximum of 3. So I have 2 in there. And now I think it's just about time. Yeah, we're seeing this. We've got plenty of people living there. So let's have some houses. A stone house. So I'll put a stone house in there. And one in over there. This will be... And what's that saying? The reserve of logs is low. Yep, it sure is. Good thing we got some foresters. So yeah, we're gonna need some logs in order to build these homes. The reserve of logs is still low. Yep. So fast build unlimited resources will be F7. Let's just have a go. 5, 6, 7. Right. So I've now given myself unlimited resources. Let's try that again. F7, 5, 6, 7. And I've got 100 of each. But what do I not have of? Iron, stone, firewood. And that's saying I've produced enough cloves. So what if I change the clothes limit to 500? Now, hide coats is better than no coats, that's for sure. Well, I don't think that cheat's working. $40 logs. Okay. Well, they're picking stuff up, and then what are they doing? Yeah, you've got a lot of food in there, but you've got no firewood. So you're trying to pick up firewood, but you can't. Oh well, these houses will get built soon. And then what I'll do is I'll decommission that, because I think it may have too much in its food inventory. What else can I do? Unlimited house firewood, F10. 9. That's 10. Right, so hovering over the 10, let's have a look at this house. And there we go, it's just created firewood. All the houses have now got firewood. Just waiting for that one builder to do... He's got a lot of work ahead of him, so okay, that's done. Now let's upgrade that to a stone house. And hopefully this won't result in a homeless... Yep, we got a homeless population. So we're going to need some more builders. Let's just say all those labourers are now builders. Please hurry up with these stone houses and all that. Right, so there we go. We've got some stone houses. And butchers need lumber. Great. Okay, so we need lumber. How do we make lumber? That's just refined resources, right? So fuel production, construction. A saw pit. Very slow may create lumber by sawing wood logs. Use the flat terrain tool if you remove this building. I see. Alright, so we'll do a saw pit there then. So that house has now been marked for deconstruction and it's upgraded. There we go. And we've got a lot more labourers now. So let's just upgrade this one as well. So all the stuff from there is being put into flowers, ginger, domesticated animals. So we only just need logs, plenty of firewood, not many logs. So let's have someone working in the saw pit, like so. And so the choice is you can turn logs into lumber. Rightio. So the foresters are also going out half. Actually, that's the point. I've got labourers, so let's help them. I want you to collect stone and iron in this area. And that'll create plenty of free area for the forester to plant new trees in. One would hope. Right, so for example, this one. Plenty of stuff in the inventory. Got rye, got gin. No idea where you got... well, of course, the gatherers pick up ginger in the forest. So, yeah, we can see the house is 250% of what should be stored in the house is in the house. But that's okay. And there we go. We got food coming in. So, yeah, we're doing all right on food. Can upgrade that to a storage warehouse eventually, but we're alright. The storage barn is half full, so we don't need to do anything there just for the moment. And he's still diligently making lumber, which will eventually go here to do that sort of stuff. Now, yeah, you're homeless. Hopefully it won't rain anytime soon. 1% storage raining. Come on, just empty it out. There's a good lad. Get that last 1% out, please. And I think... let's have a look. What other houses we got? We can do a boarding house, provides a temporary place for the homeless to live. So let's do that. We'll do a boarding house there. I think I should have done that before the other stuff, but never mind. Yeah, I also was interested in early 20th century Germany. How did it go from the First World War, where it couldn't afford to feed people and hyperinflation, to, oh, suddenly they're a workers' powerhouse and they've got loads of just loads of stuff. Horse butcher, deer butcher, yeah. Our food limit's 5,000 and I've reached my food limit. Alright. So what, I've asked to increase that to 7,000. Now you can work again. Chop, 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 chop. Turning deer into cuts of food, which makes more food. And the reason being is it's not like... it's not as if suddenly, like, the Germans one day, they were like, oh, I'm bored, I'm going to go back to work. It was more a case of... They had this system which wasn't based on gold. It was just you do the work and you'll get paid for it, and your labour will be worth stuff in shops. And then when they did the work, it's like, oh, the shops have now got more stuff because people were actually working and producing goods and food and things like that to eat. Oh yeah, there's the foresters. They've gone and planted a whole bunch of more trees, just like I wanted them to. And then, yeah, it was just... I mean, it was a great success story. I think that's why Time said the Austrian painter was the man of the year, because you turned Germany from a laughingstock into a powerhouse. It was great. It really was. Well, up to a certain point. Then it was deemed a bit naughty. So what can I do? A sawmill. Produces lumber or firewood and allows up to 3 cutters to work. Very fast work speed. A water purified sawmill. Very fast. So, can I just build it on the lake? Yep, it allowed me to build it on the lake. The reserve of tools is low. Yep. It sure is. So, if the reserve of tools is low, why is that? I mean, they got logs, but there's no iron ore. Alright, so we're going to need some stone and iron. And do that. I mean, I can make stone tools. That is an option. But just for the moment, it's just... please go and collect stuff which is easy to collect. There we go. So I've got plenty of labourers. They can go wander around and do all that stuff for me. like I should. I've got one builder, and there he is. Water wheel sawmill. So this one I'm going to decommission. Now it said I need to flatten terrain, so if I do remove structures, that will... And then, where's flatten terrain? Flatten terrain. Can't flatten it just yet. So I need a builder to come over there. Let's get some more builders then. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Decommission the saw pit. Come on. Come on. Decommission the saw pit. We are upgrading to a water wheel. Down. Which works, even though a lake is a stationary body of water. Never mind. That's it. You're decommissioning it, right? That's what you're doing. It's decommissioned. Now, flatten terrain. Oh, well, that's handy. Flattens the terrain, water and holes come up, mountains come down. Use the remove structure tool to delete yellow icons after the terrain has been flattened. Use the tool very carefully so you cannot undo your actions. Flatten power tool. Alright, so I can actually, if I wanted to, take this area, say for where the foresters are, and say, could you flatten that for me, please? Oh yeah, and then I have to use the remove structures to get rid of the yellow icon. Right, let's go for that. Hello interdimensional lizard, you've joined me for a talk about modern monetary theory and the true value of wealth, and I thought the best way to explain that is a game which deals with civilization on a very basic level. And there's no money in this game. Well, actually yes there is later on, but the fact is all these people are motivated to work because you tell them to. No, they're motivated to work because if they don't work then they'll starve or they'll die of hypothermia. So the reward for their work is immediately tangible, like I am a forester, I chop down trees to make wood for the woodcutter, and the woodcutter gives me firewood which I can then burn so I stay warm. I'm a hunter, I hunt animals so I've got food to eat. Yeah. But then you get into the sort of what I call the sort of esoteric world where we live in, where you go, why is it that things be that way? I don't know, but they do. And it is a strange question. Oh, what's your job? Well, I restore turntables. Let's just say that was your job. Or I sell antiques. Alright, well, how is that working with a hierarchy of needs? Well, it doesn't. But it's like in the civilization where you've got more complicated things, people would go, well, I like antiques, or this is a nice turntable, this antique, I'd like to see it restored and working again. And it's like, alright, well, you've got to reward me for doing that work so that I can go and buy food and stuff like that. Because otherwise we'd all just be focusing on gathering food, gathering firewood, making a house of some sort, and then we wouldn't do any of the other things, like I'm going to make music, I'm going to make turntables, I'm going to work as a chartered accountant, I'm going to wave my tits to OnlyFans. And the thing is, more or less it was understood that you do an hour's work, you'll be able to buy this, this and this. There'll be like an agreed on set of standards of like, yeah, your work has this much value. Except then you've got footballers and politicians who their hour's work is worth a lot more than my hour's work. And it's like, I don't really think a footballer or a politician, what they're doing is inherently more valuable than what I'm doing. I mean, you can argue a politician is doing something valuable because it's like, well, I'm trying to ensure that everybody's got work. But that's where there's always ways to game the system, and really it is a game. It's a case of like, how can I cheat in life so that I get more for the work I do? And it's like, yeah, you can do that, but basically you're doing it at the cost of somebody else. Like if say for example the woodcutter says like, Well, it's winter, so if you want my firewood, I'm going to charge 10 times the amount of food that you previously given me. But making this food takes just as much labour as your wood does. Why should your labour be 10 times worth the labour mine's worth? And yeah, I think that's a good point. Right, so I really like this tool. I want to flatten all of this area. So let's just speed things along so that they hurry up. Because then my foresters can come in there and they can see they already started planting some trees here. That's good. Right, so there's that area. Now that's done. Now I can go ahead and do a thing. Remove structures. That's what I've got to do to get rid of these icons. Right, there we go. Oh, look at that. Lovely bit of shoreline. So now we've got this boarding house, which can upgrade to a coaching inn. Very fancy. I'm going to upgrade these wooden houses. So there we go. No one's homeless. They're all going to move into the boarding house, including 26-year-old Hal, the tailor. So let's upgrade those. There. Now, unfortunately, the boarding house doesn't work as a buffer, say if you've got like children and they've come of age and they're looking to move out. They won't move out into the boarding house. You've actually got to provide houses for them to move out into. So, can I do some more houses? I could do stone houses. What about colonial charter homes? You can do a tiny shack. A small and basic don't allow for new families to grow in size up to 3 people own it, and the existing family size moving are being rehomed. Alright, so let's say for example, let's have like a tiny shack next to the woodcutters. And we'll do another tiny shack. 3 tiny shacks, there we go. We can have 2 people working there, and they're making lumber. Oh, but look, they can also make firewood. Cool, okay. Why you got a question mark? You're a woodcutter, but you say you got nowhere to work. But if I scroll down to woodcutter, oh yeah, there we go. So I can have more hunters. We got a worker. A worker can assume a large variety of jobs. Okay. Gatherer. Let's have 2 gatherers. Occasionally it's good just to go on the list because, yeah, people do die of old age and their jobs aren't immediately filled. You have to do some of them. The reserve of tools is still low. Have I got a cheat for just magic up some tools? No, I don't have a cheat to magic up tools. Do I have... So I'm going to need some iron ore. And labourers are still going out into various areas to pick up ore, but they're going to have to go further and further. Eventually I'm going to have a mine. But in the meantime, let's just say, hey, this area here, I'll have all of that, please. And that, I'll have some of that as well. Yeah, just basically just... Let me check. No, that... I don't want them really to go... I want them to go north. Because if we go north, you see we've got this river. And that river is the connection to the outside world. So let's start building a... Actually, what am I doing for stone? I've got a fair bit of stone. Let's upgrade to a stone road. Ah, look, the sounds of a bustling town. So yeah, we'll just upgrade all of that to stone. I think that's a good start. We'll make that one stone as well. Honestly, this game's so good. It was a one-man team that designed it. And he says, I'm a graphic designer, but I've always wanted to make my own game. And he did, and I could say, it's like, well, what you've done here is a masterpiece, I would say. And I could build a tunnel. All sorts of tunnels. Rough log tunnel, log tunnel, log tunnel. Stone tunnel. Stone tunnel. Stone tunnel. Brick tunnel. Allow citizens to move through mountains. Like so. Going to need that if we want to get out to the other side. So we'll do a stone road there. There we go. We've got a lot of options here. Like that house is still being upgraded. Yeah. That there without tools. Okay. So you're without tools. I need iron. I could say to the blacksmith, start making some stone tools. So you know what? As a desperate times, desperate measures, etc., etc. Let's say stone tools. Without those tools, it's going to be very hard to work. So there we go. Got stone come in, and the blacksmith can at least fashion some crude tools out of stone, which is better than having no tools. You see, these houses are still being upgraded, but it's hard to be a builder when you've got no tools. Good, we've got no one in the boarding house. I guess they've all moved into their tiny shacks. Oh yeah. Which you can upgrade to a tiny house. Ah, the reserve of logs is low. Alright, let's do a cheat then. Oh, we've reached our food limit, so that's good. At least no one's going to be starving anytime soon. So the unlimited tools just gives us 50 of everything. So in which case I'm going to say to you, make iron tools. There we go. You're going to need some logs and you're going to need some iron. Can't make that because we... Oh yeah, because we've only got iron ore. We don't actually have iron. Alright, so I'll make some rough tools out of iron ore. Which means that what I need is... Let's go to refined resources. Is there smelting? Tools for industrial fuel production. No, that's not it. Celtic workshop. No. Metalsmith? Meats, canteens, timber, copperware. No, that's not it. Old blacksmith toolbar. Forge. Creates iron from iron ore. That's what we want. So we'll have a forge. Fart. And that needs lumber. Well, that's okay, we're building lumber. Structure is still being upgraded. What about here? Nothing going on over there. But these foresters have been very busy. Look at that. That's good, that is. And the hunting cabin, duck meat, feathers, sausages. Oh, that's good. Has he got that? Well, feathers, reeds and feathers would make that, but we don't have reeds. Maybe feathers can be used as something else. No, you haven't really missed much. Well, I say you don't miss. I'm just sort of going through the same thing about wealth creation and the true wealth being man's labour, and things like gold and stuff like that. All it is just it's a medium of exchange. It's not wealth in itself. It represents wealth, but it ain't wealth. And there's ways of gaming the system, so that's why like someone can go on OnlyFans and make hundreds of thousands. Their labour isn't worth more than anything else. It's just because the market has concentrated all their wealth into one thing. And I started thinking about this after the Sunday show where Phil was going like, we need communism. And I was like, no we don't. I can understand the appeal to fairness. Don't get me wrong, I do. But communism, it's just a nice theory. It doesn't pan out to the truth. And I thought a good way of representing that was, let's play Banished, where I immediately start cheating because I wasn't going to survive the first winter due to people starving. Now, actually, that said, I seem to have done alright with that now. We got more than only 1,500 stored food. Well, there was over 7,000 stored food at one point. But, let's just press S7 again. And allow the resources to go back. But yeah, I seem to be doing alright with food. And the thing is, so basically, as long as I get a subsidy, I can make a self-sufficient society. And I think to myself, well, that's basically what places like Japan are doing, where Japan's been living in a recession for decades, but they haven't gone bankrupt. They haven't gone to... by the way, I used a tool to flatten this area because I thought that would be good for the foresters. They can just go out and plant things, and it seems the gatherers enjoying it too, picking up mushrooms. So Japan just sort of carries on its way, working all the time, and even though their debt sort of goes up and up, nobody really bothers because they know the fact is the money's make-believe. It's just faith. You've got faith that your 100 yen is worth about $1. And sometimes it's less, sometimes it's more. But basically it just means to someone like, you do a day's work and you'll get a wage which you can live on and you'll be alright, blah de blah. And yeah, alright, good, great stuff. And then what? Well, Japan carries on, they work, and it works. It's basically just like, so what are they borrowing the money against? I don't know, but it works. And it basically, that was the same sort of system, like, that house is still being, now it's being demolished. Well, it's about time. So, a similar thing happened in 1930s Germany. Plus, they actually have a manufacturing industry. So with Japan, they were actually producing something of wealth, because what it boils down to is you've got your man's labour. That's the only thing which ever has any wealth, any value, is someone has expended energy to do something, and because they've expended the energy to do it, that's wealth. And you've got medium exchange. And if you're manufacturing things, well, that's a very easy to commoditise wealth exchange thing. You've got like something tangible you can hold in your hands. Whereas in the UK, we've got this very abstract, esoteric financial services sector doing things like insurance. And it generates a lot of wealth for some people, doesn't generate a lot of wealth for many people. So it's not as equitable as, say, the Japanese system. I don't know how it works, but it does. And you had it in 1930s Germany. I mean, in 1920s Germany, I can say. I mean, 1920s Germany, got lots of Germans around, and they're starving, and work's not being done, and when work is being done, they're being terrorised by communists, as saying, like, give us your fucking money or we'll kill you. And then, something happened in 1930s Germany, didn't have to worry about the communists anymore, and they're able to work, and you get to hold on to your money, and the money you earned that morning was still worth the same amount as it was the next morning. So it wasn't a case of just like, yeah, can I go out and do my shopping at lunchtime, because if I go in the afternoon the prices will have risen. So let's go not refined resources, I need resource production, I need a mine. Ores and minerals, mines and wow, there's a lot of options. Coal bell pit, primitive coal mine, built on flat ground, requires bell-shaped pit in the ground. Small iron ore mine. Tunnel mine, able to mine stone, coal and iron ore, choose from building random resource. So the default mine is this one, mine. You build a mine, you can mine iron or coal out of the ground. Mines cannot be removed once placed. So you find an area to put a mine. There's an area to put a mine. There we go. Whose mine? My mine. And I thought it was an interesting topic. I mean, I've got friends who've really looked into it, and it's like, oh, you know, this, and this is how compound interest works, and this is how usury works, and this is how fiat currency works, and modern monetary theory. And it's like, yeah, but you still, all of this is just like clever abstract ways of saying to someone, do some work for me, and then you will get a reward. And you've got faith that the reward is what you think is a fair worth. Hey, hi Tired, you bought this game 2 weeks ago. Well, that was the thing, I was doing a Sunday show, Banter Nationalism episode, was it 111? And the people in the panel were talking about money and its value and wealth, and I made the point which got lost because I don't think people understand what I mean when I say faith-based currency. I don't mean because your promissory note has "in God we trust" on it. It's just you've got faith that, say you got £10, well, I could buy 10 loaves of bread with it. Or, okay, if you're paying £1.50 for a loaf, then is it? But let's say you can buy 20 pints of milk, 10 loaves of bread, and you've got faith that next week you'll be able to buy 20 pints of milk or 10 loaves of bread with that same £10. So you've got faith that it works. And in Germany and Zimbabwe, they lost faith that their currency works, so it didn't. And that's why I've got no problem with modern monetary theory. Not that I bloody well understand what it does, but do you need to understand everything in life in order for it to work? No, you don't. I mean, how many people know an internal combustion engine works? Or explain that, no, it's not carburetors, it's fuel injection, and there's no timing belt, there's just an engine control unit which does that now. You don't need to know about that stuff. I mean, I find that really interesting. I love knowing about fuel-air mixtures, torque ratios, and power response graphs, and fuel consumption. I love that sort of stuff. I can really get into it, spend all sorts of days going like, oh yeah, that's interesting, and oh, if you use that gearbox, you'll have these different characteristics. But most people don't need to know that. And you've got people that are really interested in modern monetary theory, and they're able to explain much better, like, well, this mechanism means that the rewards are a lot more equitable, because you don't need a limited frangible resource, is that the word used? You don't need a limited tangible resource like gold. And that's what I was sort of joking, just saying like, oh, you know, if you're carrying all this gold around, you'd be an easy target for mugging. And it's like, yeah, maybe there's like I could take my gold to a secure place like the jewelers and say, hey, can I store my gold there? And it's like, can you just make a note? It's like, oh yeah, you've got £1 and 1 ounce of gold, or you've got half an ounce of gold. All right, there you go, Mr. John Smith. Here's your receipt for your 1 ounce of gold, which you can redeem at any time. And it's like, hey, your cousin Shlomo in the next town over, he's a jeweler, yeah. Can I take this promissory note to him and say, look, your cousin Moshe, he's got my gold here. Yeah, I'll put my signature on it. You can go there. Oh, brilliant! So that was a promissory note, and that's how modern banking came about. And then you got interest, where it's just like, say you got a fraction in reserve, like you've only got 1/10 of the actual gold in reserve, and so it's all right because nobody's going to ask for all the gold at the same time. So in fact, the banks just generated wealth. Well, they've generated more currency, so there's more wealth to go around, which means more work can be done because people have got faith that, oh yeah, that promissory note, I can exchange it for gold anytime I wanted. And then eventually we sort of realised that, actually, you know what, you don't need gold to back up the fiat currency. You can just say, look, that gold, that 1 ounce of gold represented a day's labour, or it represented a month's labour, whatever value that gold has. So you've got faith that your work, this promissory note that is, 1 month's labour, which we say is an ounce of gold. An ounce of gold, that's about £110, isn't it? Oh, I don't know how much an ounce of gold is, but let's just say this amount of gold here represents the labour you've done in a month. You accept that? Yeah, I accept that. If I go to a baker's, if I go to a furniture shop, if I go anywhere, they also accept that that gold is worth... that promissory note is as good as gold. And then... so that's the thing, you don't need gold for it. And then... that's why I find things like... what's it called? Oh, I need furnace fuel. Oh, well, of course, you can't just put iron ore into it. But that's why I find things like Bitcoin strange, because it's like, yeah, okay, it's worth a lot now because people are speculating on it. But at some point, it has to become like a useful monetary exchange. So what's Tide saying? I love your profile, but June game from the 90s. Yeah, it's the first game I streamed, and I really want to have another go at streaming it again because my setup is better now in terms of recording and streaming. So I will have a go at doing that. Maybe when the weather's warmer. And, yeah. I am... am I looking forward to the upcoming film? Not really. I'll tell you why. It's not due to the casting decisions or things like that. Although, let's face it, that is a big part of it. Can I make iron ore from... I can make iron... No, you have to do it from furnace fuel. You can't just use coal. As I found out, coal's got a lot of sulfur in, and if you use that to make iron ore into stuff, then it becomes very brittle and it's not good. Industrial fuel production. A fuel refinery takes burnable natural resources and converts them into a hotter, more desirable form in industry smelters. A char burner. Industrial coal from firewood. Or a small fuel refinery. Right, so let's do this. We'll have a fuel refinery here. There we go. The south is going to be our Mordor area. So really, I'm at the stage where I don't care what it is. Like someone's saying, look, I don't care what's under the bonnet of my car. As long as it gets me from A to B and it does this, this and that. As long as it does those things, I don't give a toss what it does. And we got no blacksmith. Why do I have no blacksmith? Let's go to job list. Job listings. What's job listings? What one looks like job listings? Overhead map size variance. That's it. Alright, so horizontal non-scrolling professionalist, horizontal scrolling professional. Oh, okay. No, I think I prefer the vertical scrolling list. Vertical scrolling professionalist. Labourer, builder, Santa's elf. Why would you have a Santa's elf? I can have 3 blacksmiths. Ah, okay. I'm guessing some of the work has gone into the forge because they count as blacksmiths as well. So, like most people don't care how the engine works. They're not interested in the nuts and bolts. As long as it does what it does, then that's good enough for them. And I think this stuff with the Bitcoin, it's like, it's like the early car adopters, like they're saying, oh, this is way better than horses. I mean, you're not going to be beholden to the stable masters, and it's not like, horses can get sick or cars don't get sick. And it's like, yeah, but cars have got their own problems. You still got to maintain and feed them, and they can still go sick in their own ways. So you just exchange one set of problems for another. And I think it's the same with Bitcoin. I mean, ultimately, we found that cars are better than horses. And I think we may find that Bitcoin is better than currency. I don't know. I kind of like the way that if I've got cash, nobody but me and the person I'm giving the cash to knows that transaction goes on. I don't like the surveillance aspects of Bitcoin. Mind you, there are cryptocurrencies which do away with that. I think Monero, is it, or Ethereum? They do. I need more logs. Right, I'm going to have to tell those labourers to just chop down the forest. Right, so you remove those resources, you remove those. Yeah, take those down. You just give me a whole bunch of logs, please. I need loads and loads of logs, and I think it's time to build another stockpile. So what does a stockpile look like? I will address June in a minute. If I was a stockpile, what menu would I be? Homes and houses, roads and bridges, storage, that's it. So we can do a storage barn, stockpiles, transparent stockpile, stockpile. There we go. So I'll put a stockpile in here. I'll make it a 7x7. That's a good size. Storage barn. Tiny small barns, mod toolbar. Small storage barn, storage barn. Yeah, I think we can afford another storage barn. Just put it here. Like so. There we go. So June, Denis Villeneuve, no relation to Jacques Villeneuve. He did June 2. A lot of people like June 2. I personally, I enjoyed it and I didn't. It's not a film I'd want to watch again. But it had some good stuff going for it. It wasn't a bad film. Compared to its contemporaries, brilliant. But that's like saying that, oh, that cheese sandwich you made, that was MasterChef quality. It's like, yeah, but all the sandwiches you get these days are made out of dog shit. It's like, yeah, compared to the dog shit sandwiches, your food is Michelin starred. It's like, yeah, but you realise you go back at like a couple of decades and the cheese sandwich, you just be like, that's just a normal sandwich. It's not good. It's alright. It's nothing special. And that's the thing. If June 2 came out like 20 years ago, people would be like, this film is largely forgettable. I mean, here's an example, right? I watched Master and Commander recently, and Master and Commander is a film with Russell Crowe, sailing ships. Really good film. Never seen it before. And I was like, why did I never seen this film before? It's like, oh, it came out the same time as the Lord of the Rings films. I mean, in comparison, it's just, it couldn't shine a candle to Lord of the Rings. But you watch Master and Commander today and compare it to, do you get films of high adventure these days? I mean, you get Marvel movies, but that's not really high adventure, is it? I mean, a superhero that can do anything, has got no weaknesses, and it's one, you know, and it's just like, well, how am I supposed to relate to that character? But like, here's a guy on the ship, and he's been shot, and the surgeon is going to have to operate him without anaesthetic, and he may not survive even so. I mean, that is a sympathetic character. That is like, that's tense, thrilling, nail-biting stuff. Like, how are they going to get away from this superior enemy which keeps chasing them? That, I mean, it's superb film. Really, like, really good. But these days, you know, you just... What was my point about that? Oh yeah, Blade Runner 2. It's an alright film. In comparison to what we got now, it's, you know, it's brilliant, but if you compare it to what came before, it's alright. So yeah, he's going and making June 2. The Junening. No, June 2, July. Like June, but a bit hotter. I love that joke. It's the same story as the June film from 1984, but it's going to be different somehow, and the casting is going to make Dr. Liette Kynes, played by Max von Sydow, be a black woman, because, yeah, you know, just ignore the fact that it was a man and was played by Max von Sydow. I mean, I'm sure there's a bigger downgrade, but nothing comes to mind at the moment. So yeah, you got that. But my casting decisions really are... Marvel movies are hangover movies. They don't really keep you in the edge of your seat. Yeah, they're basically the sort of films like, okay, who's the movie-going audience? They're retarded diabetic Mexicans. Alright, what sort of movies do retarded diabetic Mexicans like? They like the ones where the dialogue doesn't really challenge them because they don't understand English that well, even if it is their first language, because they're retarded, they're diabetic, they're Mexican. And they like lots of explosions. Okay, we'll do that. Do some fight scenes in it? Yeah, do a couple of fight scenes in it. Oh, we need miners. Hey, old miner. Why are you not working in the mine? Melter, merchant, miller. Let's put that in the middle of the stream so I can see better. Merchant, miller, miner. I can have a maximum of 15 working there. So I'll put 5. And what's that? That's a forester lodge. I could do with some more people, couldn't I? Perhaps if I build some houses, that will encourage more people to appear. Right, so I'll put a house there. Can I put houses here? Yeah, put a couple of houses there. That's going to be far away from food. Be interesting to see if it gets any problems with food. We'll see. I'll have to see about that. And I've only got... Oh, I've got some more... Could do more builders to upgrade that house. There we go. How long have I been playing this tired? Let's have a look. I'm Alt-Tab. Been streaming for 1.5 hours now. So yeah. But June is... This new June, my main objection to it was the costume design. And I looked at it and I just thought to myself, I saw like still suits, and for example, and it's like those costumes look like stuff you could buy from Amazon. And then someone pointed out like steal his look, and they literally just listed the items like this is a BMX biker's glove, this is this thing, and this is something from a scuba diver's kit. And frankly, I look at the still suits, well, they're not even still suits, they're just rags. And it's like, how's that supposed to trap somebody's moisture and effectively filter it and turn it into something they can drink? That's not going to do that. That's a lie. And I mean, there were some interesting things in the original. What we got there? We got. Oh yeah, we got cut and we got tallow. Oh, I could make candles out of tallow. Oats, duck meat, domesticated animal, tallow. Yep, that's right. So yeah, the set design's very beautiful. I looked at the sets and thought they'd done a good job there. But I mean, if you just got people that look like, oh, those clothes, it doesn't really give it the sense of high adventure and fantasy that a neo-feudal civilization living 10,000 years from us now, but they're anachronistic because they don't have computers, because that's a thinking machine and that's prohibited because there was a war against AI thousands of years ago, which humanity barely survived. So it doesn't really give me a sense of high adventure when it's like you've done all this stuff saying that you've just got like stuff which I recognise as clothes from now. I mean, even in case like Star Trek, like the TNG, where they're using, was it spandex or lycra? And you could tell it's like, oh yeah, you know, that there's just like cotton and things like that. But the fact is, the uniforms they did on Star Trek, they're a bit cheesy, but it gives it a sort of, it was new and it was different, and it's like, yeah, nobody dresses like that. And you could well imagine, like, yeah, because they're living in the future, that's why they're dressed in such an odd way. And I liked that. They put effort into it. They put more effort into it than whoever's doing costumes on this Dune film. So the fact is, I've set my expectations very, very low. And I know even though I've set my expectations low, I'll watch it and I'll still be disappointed because I'm like, this is worse than the David Lynch movie, and this is much worse than the books. So I think the best way to do Dune, don't do it live action. There's too much stuff and there's too many plots. What you really need is one of those anime series where you've got at least 110 episodes. Like Star Trek TNG, you got 7 times 26. So if I did, so what's 10 lots of 26 is 260, right? And then 20, so then I'll do 3 lots of 26. Let's do that. So that's 26, then 40, no, 52. What's 926 plus? 58, 78. So I do 260 minus 78. Well, I can do 200, and I've got 18 left. So if I do that, take away 20 from 200, I've got 180 plus 2. 182 episodes. So Star Trek TNG, 182 episodes. Loads of room to get like a really good story. Loads of stuff. I want furnace fuel to be made from coal. There we go. And you're making coal. Right. You can make furnace fuel from coke. But coke is furnace fuel. I don't understand how it works, but it somehow does. So yeah, if you had an anime with at least 110 episodes and a clear, like, written story. I mean, for example, Babylon 5, that was all wrapped up in 4 seasons. Should have been done in 5. So if you've got, like, at least 100 hours to tell the story of June, I reckon it could be done. You might have to abridge some of it. You might have to gloss over some of the details. I mean, Count Hasimir Fenring definitely should be his own mini-series. The foundation of the House of Arakeen, which him and his lady Margot, his wife, made, that is worthy of its own series. But at the very least, the story of Paul Atreides comes from Caladan to June, his family gets betrayed, he discovers his grand plot because House Carino doesn't like House Atreides as they see them as a threat. The reserve of logs is still low. Well, I've told my labourers to go and harvest these logs. So honestly, I've got 1 labourer and I've got 4 builders. Right, I think I see the problem here. And I've got no one working in the fuel refinery. I can't really afford. So, who's someone that works in the fuel... Oh, I don't know, just do that. Click that, click that. There we go, got fuel workers. So yeah, I reckon you could tell the story, and if it's an anime, you can really use the medium well. I mean, there's some people that I look at them and it's like, why are you doing that as a cartoon? Family Guy comes to example. I mean, there's nothing really in Family Guy which couldn't be done in live action. They used Amigas for the special effects, firstly. Lightwave, yeah, it was really... I'm really glad I watched all of... I watched a couple of episodes and it didn't make sense, but then I watched all in one go and I was like, this is a really good story. I like it. But in anime, you could really use the medium well. I think it'd be quite good to explain the transcendental psychedelic experience that the navigators have when they see through time and space. I mean, if you want an example of it, I know it's a bit cheesy and tongue-in-cheek, but just look at Space Dandy, for example. That is something which I think really uses the medium of, it's a cartoon, let's do cartoony things well. So I think an anime, and plus the other thing in an anime is you could probably make really good fight scenes, because one of the things they had to use as a plot device in the movie was, instead of the weirding way, which was martial arts, was we got these weirding modules and you say a noise and an explosion happens. And really that was done as a practicality of the costume designer saying, well look, we're in the Mexican desert to shoot these desert scenes, and it's really hot, it's really sweaty in the things. You can't expect these people to do martial arts. They'll be really tired and it'll look rubbish. And they agreed. So it's like, alright, what can we do instead of martial arts? Oh, well, let's do weighting modules. So that was a practical plot device. You wouldn't have to make a compromise like that in anime. You can actually, I mean, I know there's some anime with good fight scenes, and the fight scenes don't have to be these long drawn out fight scenes with careful choreography are basically just show off stuff. I've seen fights in real life, and usually very short, and usually what it involves is someone loses their footing, and then they get a kicking, and then that's it. Or other sort of fights are they're over very quickly, like you strike someone in a vulnerable area and then you stab them and then they're dead. So I would quite like it, and then people could sort of argue saying, oh well, these fight scenes are not very interesting. Well no, they're not. But I mean, if you ever looked at CCTV footage of fights going on in the the urban jungle. They're not very interesting. You just see someone bumps into somebody else and then they fall over and there's blood comes out. It's not this sort of spectacle is effectively is what you're watching is like a ballet, but it's, and that's the other thing as well. I mean, people sort of criticize like, oh, wrestling, it's all choreographed and it's not real fighting. Well, I'll tell you what, the wrestling fighting is far real than those choreographed fight scenes in all those action movies, especially the Marvel ones. So, yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, when I'm a billionaire from not investing in Bitcoin, I'll commission a 110 episode series of Dune, and I'll make Dune the way I want to see it be made. And we'll have good voice actors in it and all. I'm looking for storage, food production, town services, roads and bridges. Storage, there it is, there's storage. I want a stockpile. Storage crates. Oh, okay, that's interesting. I just want a small covered yards for quick distribution. Capacity better than vanilla. No, just give me a stockpile. I want a basic... No. Build it there. There we go. We've got an instant stockpile. That's good. So what's going on? This is a forest lodge and it's cutting down stuff to make wood. You're mining coal. You're turning coal into furnace fuel. And then you're taking furnace fuel into an iron ore and making iron. Which is good. Because then... Have I got iron? No, still no iron. But eventually my blacksmith will be able to make iron tools. Hobbit, the right-wing Soros. Yeah, I'm just gonna like speculate on the country's currency, like the UK and the pound in the early 90s. Ruin it and make billions and billions of dollars. Yeah. John Borman film, Helen Mirren. Have you seen Excalibur from 1982? Oh yeah! I have seen Excalibur from 1982. That was a good film. Yeah, I liked that. Yes. Tired. I know, you're not from my circle of things. Well, welcome to watching my Banished stream. I appreciate that. My name's Hobbit, and there's this long-standing joke about, that I'm Hobbit, but the name of my channel is from my good friend Fremen on the Sand, who's a good friend of mine, talented musician, doesn't say anything. Although if you did hear him say stuff, you would swear it was me talking. And it's a long story, but I had a channel, and the AI decided that my channel didn't need to exist anymore. And I was like, alright, okay. Hey, Fremen on the Sand, yeah. Do you fancy doing collaboration? Yeah, I don't mind doing collaboration. You do all the work and upload it to the channel, and I do something and I say nothing. And that's fine. That's great. And that system works fine. It's because there is a stipulation in the YouTube thing, like, you will not circumvent our system. And it's like, sure, I won't circumvent your unreasonable system with no chance of appeal and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, I would perish the thought. Never do such a thing. But anyway, all those houses are upgraded, so how about we upgrade a tiny shack? And mostly what I do is I play games, and I'm an unemployed NEET. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to be playing these games anyway, and I like the sound of my own voice. How about I make like a channel where I play these games and then I talk about stuff what I find interesting. And then other people says, yeah, Hobbit, we find what you do is interesting, so please carry on talking about it. So I did. But then I also make music, or rather I should say, my good friend Fremen on the Sand makes music, and it's good music too. He does, and he uploads it on the channel, and you can hear that too. There's a playlist called Music What I Have Done, Do Not Steal. And yeah. So I know that sounds a bit convoluted and a bit silly, and it is also being vague and it doesn't make much sense. And for that I apologise, but this is the world we live in, where unfortunately we have to do things in a sort of roundabout, convoluted, sleight of hand sort of way. And it's not healthy. It really ain't healthy. But I'm going to do a cheat because it seems that my labourers don't want to harvest the resource. I told them, I said, you see that area there? Yeah. Clear it of resources. So that's why there's a little X next to all these things. And I've got 5 labourers, but they're not interested. So I am going to go and make a thing what says unlimited resources. 5, 6, 7. Right, so I've pressed that. And there we go, we've got 100 of each. So there's stored iron, there's stored this, there's stored that. So can I make steel tools? Yeah, I can. 1 log, 1 iron, 1 coal. So let's start making some steel tools. Let's see if labourers will pick up coal from the mine and then go and deliver it to the blacksmith. Then I can have some superior steel tools. What else we got? Unlimited food, unlimited houses food, unlimited houses firewood, unlimited market resources. That's the point. I haven't built a market. You're not built a market. It's probably under resources. Storage, markets and trade. There we go. Right. Vanilla wagons, barrels and carts. Storage barrels. Cellars, storage cellars. The warehouse. The warehouse. The warehouse is specialised in stock management. That's high capacity 90... Wait, that's cool. Farm storage. Storage crates. Storage cellars, specialised warehouses, storage lean-to, storage, strong ale storage pile, nice. Rail cart minerals, rail cart industrial, storage boxes, storage crates, stockpiles, storage barns, market buildings, there we go, market stalls, market carts, general wagon vendor, small market, fuel wagon vendor, materials wagon vendor, edibles market, farm stand. I just want the basic vanilla market. There it is. That's a big building, isn't it? If I use flattened terrain there, I'll be able to place it there. Alright, so let's use the flattened terrain tool. That's a nice thing that comes in this mod. There it is. So all of that area, could you flatten it for me, please? Like so. Right, so we'll just speed up the game a bit more. Put some more labourers into the builders. Burp. Well, you help me study at the same time, even though I'm not right-winger. Well, that's alright, I'm not right-winger anyway. I mean, if you're listening to my monomonetary theory, I was talking about how I like communism in theory, but in practice it doesn't work, because there's this idea that all your needs are provided for you, and there's no reward for doing work. So, in that case, if you just put in the bare minimum so you don't go to prison... And that's the problem with communism. There's plenty of stick, but there's no carrot. So it's like, well, the stick is, if you don't do any work, you go to Gulag. There you'll do loads of work. So you do the bare minimum amount of work, but there's no carrot. So there's no reward for doing more than the bare minimum. So communism creates a nation worth of jobs worths. So that's why I don't like it. And then you've got something like fascism, where... Fascism, my understanding of what happened in 1930s Germany is that there was no money going around because money had been manipulated, and the value of money, nobody had faith in it. So nobody was like, well, why should I do any work? I won't be any reward for it. I basically just, I'm going to go and fish, I'm going to go hunt, I'm going to do whatever I can to get some food or some firewood to fulfill my basic needs. You can't have a society like that. All you can have in that is just a barely functional people surviving. That's not civilization, that's just survival. So then something came in, won't mention their name because the name upsets people, and they said, well look, we don't have gold, but you never went to the bank to collect your gold anyway, So how about the promissory note is based on your labour, and I will guarantee that your labour is worth what it should be worth. You can go to the market, you can buy food, you can buy fuel, you can buy a house with it, you can have the Strength Through Joy program, so you can actually go on cruises, and you can have nice things. So it's like, your work will be rewarded. If you work hard, you will get good rewards. And it's like, well, you've given me a good, decent incentive to work. I think I'll work for you. And it works so bloody well that the rest of the world's like, nope, shut it down. This is going to affect our money earning scam. This is going to affect our central banking usury. So it's all got to be shut down. So, like I've said, what I said is like how most people don't really care about how a car works. How does your car work? I don't know, but it does. It's the same thing with modern monetary theory, which some of my friends get upset with because it's like, this shouldn't work. Well, I don't know how it works, but it does, and it really does work. I mean, Japan's an example of that. I mean, if you gave like the Japanese the same sort of monetary policy that they have in Zimbabwe, yeah, the Japanese are a hard-working people, but eventually it'd be like, well, why should I work? None of my work's got any value. I mean, I'm working in this place making computer games, or I'm working as a chartered accountant, and it's like, that's not putting food on my table. I'm just going to go to the coast, and I'm going to go and fish. Because at least that way, my work will result in actually something I can eat, a tangible reward. But Japan doesn't use the IMF policy. Japan's got its own monetary policy, and even though they're in debt, it doesn't matter, because they've got faith that their work has the value which it should have, and it works, and it just works. And I don't know how it works, but it does. And I'm sure you've got some other people that really study this. Like, I say the example of, I'm really interested in vehicles and how they work, and internal combustion engines and external combustion engines. I love that sort of stuff. If we were doing a thing of like, you know, hey, in order to have a functional civilization, we need cars. Hobbit, can you explain how cars work? Oh boy, this could go on for 10 hours. I'll be like, right, you got your raw materials, you got all that refined? Okay, you got all that. No, you don't? Alright, well, let's go and explain how you refine those materials. Well, oh man, I basically have these sort of daydreams, and the daydreams, someone just said, oh, what you're basically describing is a Yankee in the court of King Arthur. Mark Twain did a book about going back in time with the understanding of modern things, and saying like, oh yeah, you know, this is how to do it. But if there was like a collapse of civilization, it's like, well, look, we need some way of pumping this water out. It's like, well, you've got firewood, yeah? You've got a means of producing metal, yeah? Alright, we're going to build some steam pistons using lathes. You're going to make a lathe, and then we're going to pump this water out. And then other people's like, well, I don't know how it works, but Hobbit's steam pump does work. And I'd love that. I really would. And likewise, you see, that's because my interest is those sort of mechanisms. I love that sort of stuff. And I'm quite happy to say now that modern monetary theory doesn't work. But I don't have to understand if it works, how it works, to understand that it does work. So all these people saying, well, it doesn't work because it just makes a mockery of money and it's not based on anything. It's like, yes it is. It's based on faith. And materialists won't accept that, oh shit, we actually got faith inside. You got faith that your promissory note is worth what people agree it is. I don't know who these people are, by the way. I'm just saying people in general. Like, oh, I don't know, I'm a baker. Or, you know, I've got a shop and I'm selling records. And I'm going to say, well, this record's worth 50p. Actually, you know what? Records are going up in tomorrow. I'm going to say this record's worth £15. Or I'm a baker. Oh, okay. Bread is an everyday item. Well, I'm going to say that loaf is 50p. Oh, no, this is a sourdough, artisanal, organic crafted loaf. It's actually worth £5. I don't know how that works, but it does. So this is why I'm saying I don't mind people magicking money out of thin air, because as long as it's, put it this way, the credit and depression stuff like that, you basically just said to people, you know all that work you were doing to better yourself and make the world a better place? Yeah, stop that now. Why? Because we say so. Why? Because we're not going to reward you for your work. Oh, well, fair enough. You're not going to reward me for my work. I'm going to stay at home. And it's... I don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't appreciate it. So let's have market worker. Merchants. Is it merchant? I don't know. But I've got no, I want at least one labourer. So if someone dies, the labourer will take their job, in theory. I don't know. And I'm building some more houses because my workforce is low. So, who's the sort of people that work in... it's not merchant. So, is it a vendor? No? I don't actually know what the name is of... You are a vendor. There we go, vendor. Market vendor. So I've got a cheat here. It says unlimited market resources. So if I press F11, and it's just put everything at 55. So we've got 55. We've got rough tools, rose hips, coal. Oh, okay. So it'll just say if you got something in, like firewood, for example. I press. Okay, it doesn't delete the firewood, but that's good. So now we've got more resources coming. Reed, rye, wild seeds, yeah. So now, for example, this... There we go, we got steel tools. Eventually we'll get some steel tools. One would hope. And they'll be... not for sale at the market, they'll be there for distribution in the market. My grandma told me when I was growing everything that was going on back then. Your grandparents fled from H-Man. Yeah, a lot of people did. It was there was massive upheaval and demographic changes back then. I mean, one of the things which I find fascinating is this theory of what's it called? Oh yeah, that's why I don't have any logs available. Because it's all being turned into other things. Well, if I say to the woodcutter, just stop there. There we go. So now do that. Yeah, I mean, my ancestors, my grandma, she was living on the farm at the time. My granddad was living in a boarding school in France. And his experience of the war was, oh yeah, German soldiers would come into the boarding school and they'd share their chocolate ration with us. Then the American GIs would come into the boarding school, they'd share their chocolate ration with us. And it's like, oh yeah, the German chocolate rations were better than the American chocolate rations. And that was it. That was my grandfather's experience. Like, well, you know, I went to school, I studied Latin and Greek and all those other things one needs when in the world. Let's have some vendors. Some more vendors. There you go. Got one more labourer, so we'll have a miner. And then my grandmother's experience of the war was, well, I was on the farm and every day the German soldiers would come and help themselves to the food and we'd have the crumbs that were left. And I've worked on this farm, it still exists to this day. And I said to her, but you actually had food? Yeah. Because a lot of people starved to death at the end of that war. And even though things were bad in the United Kingdom, they were better than a lot of the other places in the world. I'm going to put a log limit at 2,000. I want these foresters to... Because there's congratulations, you've made a lot of wood. So yeah. And there's question mark over here. So I'll do that. Oh, I see. Your ancestor was Jewish. My dad's boss, he was Czechoslovakian, and 1930s in Czechoslovakia, uh, they were poor. He was telling them how poor they were back then, and how they eventually fled to England. And they weren't Jewish, by the way. They were like, we're going to go to a better life in England. And he said you remember there was Jewish neighbours in the thing, and they said they were immodest. So when the Germans came to round them up and seize their property, nobody resisted, because it's like, well, we're all starving and they're walking around in fur coats, and they're fat, and they've got food, and they've got all the lights on in their house. So people were unsympathetic towards them at the time. But the fact is, there is a lot of, I don't know who to believe in that story. I mean, I certainly believe a lot of people starved during that time. But I didn't even really want to get into that. It was just a case of, like, monetary theory. And there was a case of, we can clearly say the Germans were starving, there was hyperinflation. And then this painter from Austria said, well, look, you don't actually need gold in order to do this work. You do the work with the understanding that you will get paid and you can do other things. And somehow, as if by magic, actually it's not magic, it's faith, as if by faith, all these works get done. And so, yeah, it could be used for destructive purposes, as it was, but it can be also used for constructive purposes. And that's why I'm saying, like, Japan, they've got a good society. I've been watching videos of train travelling in Japan, and I mean, here's an example. You wouldn't be able to do it in this country because everything would be stolen and you'd probably get raped. But in Japan, they have this overnight, what's it called? What's the word I'm looking for? It's an overnight train. You can sleep on it. And the overnight train, the berth is 500 yen, so that's about £5. The train ticket is £18. So for £23, you've got a train ticket and boarding, and you've got a blanket, you can sleep down, and the understanding is that before you go, because it's on an upper level, before you climb the ladder to your sleeping berth, you take your shoes off. And they're showing, like, the guy in it was going, like, if you want a shower, there's limited slots available, so make sure you do it, but you can get your shower ticket for 300 yen, you get 6 minutes of shower time, and there's instructions on it saying that please clean after yourself when you've had a shower, please use the air duct to dry the shower. Just make it nice for the next person that comes in, and and it works, and they do that. And I've even seen it in Japan. Like they teach the kids. They don't have janitorial staff in the schools. It's expected that the primary school students spend time brushing, sweeping, tidying things up, and they're taught the value of keeping things clean. And I think that is a good value. And then, you know what? Oh, I've got a weevil infestation in my rye. Well, if I replant it with blackberry, so I'll do that, and I'll replant this with rye, and hopefully that will solve that problem. So just plant a new crop in there. You shouldn't really be planting the same crop in the field over and over again. You should practice crop rotation. But this game doesn't take into account soil fertility. So Japan has this, what is called a high trust society, because people trust one another. Like, look, I'm going to sleep here, I'm going to leave my shoes there, not to nick their wallet or do things like that. And that's why they can have nice things in Japan, because they understand that you don't steal from other people. And I'm sure it happens. I'm absolutely sure it happens. But it's such to a small extent that people can go, you know what, I'm going to get the cheap £5 berth, and yeah, all that's going to separate me from other people is a little curtain, but that's okay, no one's going to rape me, no one's going to steal anything, I'll be absolutely fine. Let's change the minerals limit to 2,000, there we go. Iron limit to 2,000, so we can carry on working. What we got? We got stacks of iron, stone, log, and that. And the thing is, people are watching this saying, "Oh, I'd love that over here. I'd love that over here." And it's like, all you've got to do is watch clips from PAFE News, the newsreels, and you see that in the 1960s, and I'd say even as far as the 1980s, we were living in a high trust society. Because, yeah, us English, we got problems with one another, and occasionally we have fights, and we're a bit more, I would say, a bit more rowdy, boisterous than the Japanese people. But we had a high trust society, to the point where people would even do an honour system where I've seen gardens in the south of England where they'll have like fruit and vegetable from the gardens, and they'll put it out there, and they'll put like prices for it, and nobody's there minding the stall. It's just a case of you see something you like, you take it, and then on the honour system you pay it back. And there's even been times when I've been in when I was a deliveryman, and I was in a village, and I saw there was this place selling goose eggs, and they're 50p each, and I thought, oh yeah, I wouldn't mind that. So I had a look, and I was like, yeah, I've got £3, and actually that was the thing. I didn't have £3 on me. I had a fiver, and so I said. So what I did is I had a fiver, and I wrote on it, "I owe you £1," and then I because I picked up I picked up a dozen eggs instead. So the thing is, like, well, I know I'm going to be there next week, so I came back with £1, and someone was there at the time. I said, "Oh, hello," and says, "By the way, I'm the person that owes you £1." "Oh yeah, okay." They go, "Can I buy some more?" "Yes, by all means, buy some more." And so that was that was the thing. I could have just gone away and defrauded them of £1, but these things do exist. But you would never find that in the middle of London, never, because you understand that if you just left out a bunch of food on the store and didn't watch it, within minutes it would all be gone, all of it, absolutely all of it. And likewise, you look at the public transport system we've got. Like in Japan, you've got signs on the train saying, "Please do not disturb the other passengers." If you see someone that is being disturbing, i.e. making a loud noise, report them to a member of staff immediately. And it's like, oh yeah, because let's face it, when you're living in a big city like that, you do want a bit of peace and quiet. And they respect that, and they value it and say, that is a valuable thing, we want that thing. And I just thought to myself, imagine explaining to one of these dirty... well, they are dirty, but I don't have to use that adjective. Imagine explaining to one of these foreigners who doesn't appreciate culture in the same way that we do. The way when, say for example, they'll be speaking, they'll have their phone on speakerphone, and they'll make sure that everybody is a participant in their conversation. They'll just be speaking loudly in their foreign jibber-jabber language. And it's I've spoken with friends before, and they find it intimidating. I said, well, you understand what they're doing there is a form of dominance. They're asserting that this is my territory, and I'm going to jibber-jabber loudly in it. And did I build a house over here? I did, but they still got access to all their things. That's good. What's that saying? Got low of. The reserve of food is low. So, could you imagine seeing a sign saying, like, please do not disturb other... I think there is even that. There are actually signs which say, don't disturb other passengers on this bus or train. But it's just ignored in this country. So, yeah. The furthest east I've been is Cyprus, by the way. So, I quite liked that. There was I did enjoy my time over there, but I could tell that the Cypriots, they've been somewhat anglicised compared to the Greeks, but they're not English. Yeah, so no dogs, no Irish, no jibber jabber. Yeah. That's the thing. Someone did that recently. We were doing we were doing a talk show, and we were talking about the famous poster saying "No dogs, no Irish, no blacks," and we found it was actually made up. It was like someone did a poster back in the 60s as a parody, and now everyone accepts it as gospel that, oh yeah, back in the 60s people were really intolerant. They say no blacks, no Irish, no dogs. I mean, to this day people still say no dogs. But what you're saying there, Tired, you like being in a society where you learn to talk loudly, and yeah, that's fine. I mean, for example, I was in a pub recently. I was in a pub in the before time, back when you're allowed to go in pubs, and my friend and I were drunk, and we got this sort of friendly rivalry going on, where we challenged each other to an arm wrestle, and now he's really strong, my friend is, and most of the time he beats me, but I was very drunk at the time, and I'd been working out for a number of weeks. I've been in training. I was like, I'm going to beat him, and I almost beat him, except we were told to finish our arm wrestle because I was grunting, growling, screaming because I was actually in a lot of pain. My arm really did hurt, and but I was so determined to beat him. I was just like, I don't care. And one of the barmaids came over and was like, can you guys keep the noise down, stop being boisterous? And I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realise I wasn't allowed to have fun in a pub. And you see, I'm laughing about that because I find it absolutely bloody absurd. Like, the idea that somebody would say to me, could you not do the thing which you do normally? That thing which is part of your culture, can you not do it? But if I'm in a place like Japan, let's say I've gone to whatever their equivalent of a pub is, and, you know, they do fairly decent beer, and sake is quite a nice stuff. I've drunk that before. And it's like, someone says, yeah, when you're in here, we would like you to be respectful. You can be loud in the karaoke thing, which is sounds deadened. But over here, you're going to be quiet and respectful. Or you can go and be boisterous somewhere else. And it's like, well, that's okay. That's your culture, and I respect that. But that's the thing. I think there are certain places in our country where it's understood, like on public transport, places where you're in public with other people, you keep quiet. Like, you certainly keep quiet in the library. But unfortunately, these things, they're not respected anymore, and it's gone. And I think we're worse off as a society for it. And then, yeah, and it's understood that in a place like a pub, there are people that are going to be rowdy there because, hey, guess what? Turns out when you're drunk, your inhibitions are gone, and when your inhibitions are gone, then it's like suddenly you got no moderation on your voice, and you know, you find you're more likely to. I mean, I'm just laughing at the memory of this thing, and yeah, it's what's it called? Yeah, it's making me smile now just because I just find it so absurd. It's like, could you please not have fun in the pub, please? It's like, oh, I'm sorry, I'll take my custom elsewhere, shall I? We did actually go to another pub after them because I was very disappointed. That pub's gone under new management, and it's not the same pub which I knew. So very, very disappointed. And my horse is gone. I think they have. Oh well. I'll probably be able to. Now, you see, the thing is, I finally built that tunnel, so that's a good thing. So I'll be able to build over there, eventually. Now, I've been on the vanilla game. I've been building stone houses, but what about Colonial Charter? What house have I got? We got tiny shacks. I've upgraded those. A log cabin, housing for a single family, provide better comfort than the wooden home family of 5. All right. So it's better than a log cabin. Sorry, it's better than a wooden house, but it's not as good as a stone house. So what else we got? A salt box house. That takes lumber. Well, I've got lumber. Okay, so I'll do that. I don't know why it's called a salt box house, but there you have it. It's called a salt box house. A town abode. All right, let's build some town abode. Oh, I see. They're a bit narrower than Another house. What else have we got? Country house. That takes... Improvable comfort house, family of 6 people. But it's taking some resources and I don't recognise those. Building supplies and homewares. Alright, let's just cancel that for the moment. Ah, this is coming back to me now. I've played Colonial Chart before. Yeah, you need builders merchants in order to do those sorts of things. I'm going to redesign that path. So I flatten that area. I'm going to build a stone road going from there to there. And I'm going to build a stone road going from there to there. So yeah, this I thought this. Hey, let's play Banished whilst talking about modern monetary theory. Is a good idea, very good idea actually, because it just I think shows in quite a decent way. Oh, that's remove roads. There we go. Let's recycle that stone and have some. Oh. Oops. That's poorly placed. Right, let's try that again, shall we? Let's do another... Oh, you know what? Let's just do a dirt road. No one's really using this area. I thought I had a load of stone. I don't. Ah, that's where it goes wrong. Why do you keep going around the area and doing that? What do these need? They need lumber, got that, got stone, got... And it's, right, build it, yeah. So there's our log cabins. Then we got a man and a wife. There we go, we've got a 12-year-old fisherman, that's a woman, and... Actually, which one of these is a man, which one's... I'm going to assume a name... Yeah, so you're 12 years old. Why aren't you pregnant yet? He's 17, you're 12. You're living as a man and a wife. Come on, make some children. I need new labourers. Yeah, telling someone to quiet down in a pub is a bit weird, and that's why it's making me laugh, because the absurdity of, oh, I'm sorry, I'm having a bit too much fun in your pub. Am I, yeah, it just, it still makes me laugh. It just... I mean, this is. I think it's also different sort of pubs. They were trying to be like a. They were trying to make themselves more upmarket, and then it's like, all right, so you're going to make yourselves upmarket, and then just sterilise yourself of any of the charm and character. What made people want to go to your pub in the first place? Yeah, good idea. I think that's brilliant. Good luck with that. You won't have me as a customer anymore. But then we were doing this in another pub. And it was absolutely jam-packed because it was in the middle of Oxford on one of the principal... It's one of the big franchise pubs. I'm not going to name its name. And we were arm wrestling there, and I lost that time. And the thing is, this match had been going on, I would say, for at least about 5 minutes. It was a real test of endurance. And... my stamina was just, it was going. I was like, I'm not going to win. I'm going to have to, like, and eventually when I started losing, there was like people all around. They were cheering us on, and they were like waving their hands. And then my mate beat me. And my mate, he's smaller than I am, and he's skinnier than I am. So really, he's the real underdog. And when he won, they were slapping him on the back. They were like, let me get you a pint, mate. And they were cheering, they were shaking his hand. And I was so out of it at the end that I was not blind, but I couldn't see. It's happened to me a few times actually before when going faint. I've been so exhausted from the match that my heart was pounding. I was gasping for air. I was absolutely drenched in sweat, and I could feel that my vision was going grey. And at one point, the bouncers in the pub, they just thought, oh, there's a fight going on. There's a lot of rowdiness. And they sort of turned their head around. It's like, oh, no, it's just two mates having an arm wrestle. Leave them be. And that's the way it should be. It was just like, yeah, look, there's two of them having an arm wrestle. And, hey, it's getting quite interesting. Hey, look, the skinny guy's beating the fat guy. Oh, yeah, I miss that time. I really do. Yeah. Oh, well, memories, eh? Memories. So anyway, I think I've concluded my point about modern monetary theory and faith-based currency, and you know what? As long as it works, I don't know how it works, but it does. No, I can upgrade these into townhouses. You know what? I think I'm going to want to play some more Banished later on in life. That's a nice-looking house for not many resources. But, hey, great! I've got new labourers, so that's already done its job. Now, what else have we got? So we can have some more miners. Hey, old mine! I can't have that many miners though. I've only got 2 farmers, and I seem to be doing all right in food. That's great. So we got coal. We got iron, lots of iron ore, and we got blacksmith making steel tools. So yeah, I'd say this is an example of modern monetary theory. I cheated and gave myself a bunch of resources, but I would say I've got a fairly self-sufficient village. The existing 6 families have now transformed. So I had like 12 adults and 9 children. I've now got 51 adults, and a friend is playing Stardew Valley, so I'm just having to wait for that notification to go. 19 children, and yeah, I've got all right amounts of stored food. It's got self-sufficient. What do you think about this? I know in Sweden over here it's illegal to have lockdown if it's not wartime. Well, the fact is, the World Health Administration have said that don't do lockdowns. Lockdowns don't work, they're ineffective. But the fact is, it's understood that it's what's the word I'm looking for? It's not medical, it's not scientific, it's political. It's our government in the UK is like, oh my god, we've basically put everybody under house arrest, and nobody's objecting to this, so let's just keep on doing it. And there's some theories, like if you go on 4chan, they're saying, well, look, the world was due a global depression in the 2020, so by having everybody under house arrest, they can mitigate it or they can control it. And then they'll do this thing called the Great Reset, where you'll have universal basic income, but only if you agree with what the government says. So if you say anything critical, like I disagree with it, or if you don't do what the government says, like you say I disagree with being injected with a mystery substance, I think I'll take my chances with this disease with its 99.4% survival rate. If you do stuff like that, it's like, oh, okay, your universal basic income's been curtailed. Your passport is rescinded. You won't be able to travel. You won't be able to buy. So it really is just they're trying to do a communist takeover of the world, and they're using medical tyranny as the excuse to do it. And this isn't anything new if you listen to blowhards like Alex Jones, and I do use that term correctly. He is a blowhard. Because he was talking years and years ago about this UN document called Codex Alimentarius, and my granddad's a pharmacist, or was a pharmacist, and I told him about this, and it's like, oh great, that's going to make me a lot of money. It was basically something that says it was Napoleonic law. So let me say, alright, let me explain that. So common law, or English law, is anything which isn't expressly prohibited is allowed. So say, for example, you're sick and, you know, the doctors have prescribed you this, and that, and you say, well, I don't want to do that. I'm going to go and take this thing. Like, I'm going to take deadly nightshade. And the doctor said, well, you know, deadly nightshade's poisonous, but ultimately it's up to you to decide what you put in your body, and there's no law expressly prohibiting you from ingesting a deadly toxin, so you can do it. And the reason I mentioned deadly nightshade is my grandmother used to use a medicine called Nutridol, which is made from atropine, which is made from belladonna. And this was for digestive problems. She said it really works. And it's like, yeah, it does, but if you take more than the stated dose, you could die very quickly. So it was made illegal, and that is now expressly forbidden. Napoleonic law is anything which isn't expressly permitted is forbidden. So if it's not in the rule books, you can't do it. And Codex Alimentarius says, look, if we don't have a prescribed treatment for you, you can't do it. If you want to take cannabis or belladonna or colloidal silver because you think it will help you, you can't do it because we say you can't do it. Simple as. And that's it. End of story. So why am I mentioning this Codex Alimentarius? Well, that's a medical tyranny. It's basically saying, if you don't do things exactly the way we tell you to, then you can't do it. And this lockdown, what we're getting in the world, is basically saying that if you don't do things the way we say, you're going to have to stay at home. You can't even go to the supermarket to buy food. Because they're now talking about a tier 6. When is tier 6 not house arrest because we say it's tier 6? It is house arrest. You can leave the house once a week to go shop just for food or medicine, one or the other. That's house arrest. You've basically, it's like, you're under arrest, you're confined to your house. If you leave, we will use force to put you in the house, or if you keep leaving, we'll put you in a secure institution, i.e. a prison, to prevent your escape in the future. So we're all under house arrest, and they're all done making, well, everybody's got hide coats. I'm going to have to make wool at some point, but that needs livestock. So, yeah, Sweden hasn't gone into lockdown. Japan doesn't have lockdown because, like, the Japanese gone, oh, is this SARS? Yeah, we've dealt with SARS before. Because this disease, they call it SARS-CoV-2. So it's severe acute respiratory syndrome-CoV, which is coronavirus-2. Alright, so the Japanese have dealt with SARS, they know what happens. It's like, oh yeah, some people will be sick, some people won't be able to breathe, but we know from the original SARS that life carries on. And interesting enough, Belarus, they didn't do a lockdown, and the president's come out and said, well look, I was told by the IMF, they said, look, you can have this loan here. If you agree, hey, I can do terraform tool here. I could make a harbour. Interesting. I'll have to consider that. Mr. what's his name? Litvishenko or something like that. He says, the IMF would agree to give me a loan of $984 million, but in exchange for that, I would have to go and do a lockdown. And I said, no, I refuse. This disease is not that dangerous, and the economic harm would be worse than any medical harm from this disease. So Belarus didn't do a lockdown either, and they're carrying on. And if you listen to the places like the BBC and like that, places like Sweden, Belarus and Japan don't exist because our news just does not talk about your countries. We take the virus very seriously. We have new pandemic laws. We don't shrug our shoulders. I know people who work in the hospital, they're on their knees. Well, yeah, tired. I don't know how old you are. You said you're studying, so I'm going to assume you're still in your 20s. But I'm old enough now to remember the news stories every single year at winter time. The NHS is always at the brink of its capacity. It's at the brink of collapse. It's going to collapse anytime soon. And it happens every year because a lot of people are admitted into hospital in the winter times because that's when people are sick. A wood cottage. Same warmth storage as the vanilla wooden house of 6. Alright, well, we'll do a wood cottage because I like seeing these different houses. 88 housing cluster. Dutch Cape Cottage. Oh, very nice. Yeah, and because every year a lot of people go to hospital with the flu, and a lot of people die every year from. I mean, 2015 we had a horrendous amount of deaths from the flu, but we didn't have a lockdown, and it was a case of, oh yeah, a lot of people have died from flu this year. Oh, that's sad. Anyway, moving on. Life is normal, and this new disease. I mean, I've experienced it. 2 of my uncles have got it. My cousins had it. My mum's had it. And in my case, it was bad. I felt absolutely rotten. I was like, my limbs are aching all over, and I've got this. I had a fever at some point, but it wasn't a really bad fever. I wasn't bedridden. I was still going to work, and I just got on with it. And I'd say the worst bit of it was I felt short of breath, and I thought, oh God, I'm getting really unfit. I'm struggling just to walk up the stairs. But my uncle had it, and he's in his 60s now, and he was really struggling to breathe. Oh, you're 33. No, that's what I'm saying. It's not the regular flu at all. My uncle, he was in bed for it for a long time. And he says the worst thing about it was he had loads of phlegm, and it was really sticky, and you just feel like he was drowning in it. But he said he didn't want to go to hospital because he didn't like the idea of having a respirator put into it. And he survived. He got over it, and he says it was pretty bad, and his wife was worried, and she wanted him to go to hospital. He's like, no, not doing it. Yeah, and my cousin had it. I mean, she's 21 or something. She was pretty miserable for 2 weeks, and then her family got it as well. And but they seemed to suffer a lot less than my uncle did. But yeah, she got tested. They did the swab up her nose, and it's like, yep, you've got it. All right, you and your family are quarantined for 2 weeks. But anyway, it doesn't matter. The fact is, it's a disease. It is new. But we've had these new diseases happen all the time before. We've never had this sort of response to it. The fact is, the lockdowns, house arrest, is a political move. It's not a medical move. So yeah. But all I wanted really to talk about was just monetary theory and what true wealth is. And I think I've done that. I'm very hungry now, as is my people here. I mean, there's only 50 stored food left. So I'm going to save the game there. And so let's just save that one. Saving. Alright, now we're done. Fever up and down, lost smell and taste. Yeah, my mum, she said she lost her sense of smell with that and lost her sense of taste. In my case, I could still smell stuff, but it was the difficulty in breathing. That was quite worrying. But anyway, that's my thing done, so I'm going to end the stream there. Thank you very much for watching. You may now all go away. Oh yeah, and I will be playing Banished later on, because this mega mod is interesting. So yeah. So goodbye, and when are we going to do this? Wow. There's never any set schedule. Oh, by the way, it's Tuesday, so I will be on Just Don't Like 'em, 7 till 9 o'clock GMT. So that's on Hemmingford's channel, and yeah. Anyway, thanks very much for watching, and goodbye.